Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Damien with Rosyside Farm. It is August the 2nd. The cows are a little excited this morning. It's time for our Zone 7B market garden update. So this overgrown mess are the tomatoes that we planted a little while ago. And these are just for kind of like our fall tomatoes. And they're putting on tomatoes pretty well. You're going to see a theme here, and that's a lot of weeds and a lot of chaos. Just because with the summer heat, things have kind of gotten out of control and there's no way to keep up with everything right now. So we're just doing the best we can. Got to tie these up. I mean, look at this tomato plant. It's already fallen down on that side. And this is my lettuce experiment. It's going pretty good. Never much of growing lettuce, but I was hoping that underneath of this tree that it would shade it from the summer heat, and it's doing pretty well. We'll probably just eat that lettuce ourselves. And I've only harvested a few tomatoes off of that little row right there. So you're seeing the video before I start harvesting. I'll start harvesting tomatoes on Wednesday for our Saturday market. Because some of them need, a day off the vine, day or two off the vine to get, really ripe and looking good. But, we're putting on tomatoes here. And I put some green zebras in here, I believe some brandywines, really just some random stuff to kind of extend our market season as much as possible. This, our squash, haven't really been paying. I should probably rip this all out, and I always say I'm going to do it, and then by the time we do our next video, I don't. But I should probably rip this out. I'm going to start growing some broccoli and cauliflower. I've never been good at that whole fall garden, brassica type gardening, but I'm going to give it a shot because these tomatillos are fine. I mean, they're producing. We pick tomatillos. We've sold tomatillos. Not a huge seller at the market, and I've got a bunch on the other side of the garden, which is more than we could really, more than we need, more than we could ever need. Coming down here, I'm starting to get some, so right here, like, it's not a sellable tomato at the farmer's market, obviously. So the pigs get this. And while we're getting more and more tomatoes, we're also getting more and more of tomatoes that have, this has got to be sun damage. And it's just part of the natural progression of the garden. And it said the weedy, disgusting mess that I'm just picking through it. I'm not dealing with those weeds. Here is our I've recently put these in the ground, these cucumbers, because our cucumbers, these the first ones I planted, are pretty much done. They're not producing anything. So I planted a few, like 6 to 8 plants, try to extend that as well. Here we have some pineapple tomatoes, and they are absolutely massive. They're great to eat. It's hard to get them looking good to sell at the market, but they get really big, really big. So here's some volunteer cherry ground cherries. And if you've never seen a ground cherry, it probably isn't right because it's still on the plant. But you pull them out of their husk. Actually, it's right. Tastes like pine nuts. It tastes like a pretty sweet fruit. Coming up, these are the newest tomatoes. And you want to talk about neglect. I've neglected these completely. What I called my September tomatoes. I mean, this one, that thing's pathetic. But some are pathetic and some aren't. Growing pretty well. Maybe I'll tie them up, maybe I won't. I'll say I do it and then don't do it. So maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. And these are the ones that, the plants that didn't sell as plant starts that we stuck in the ground. We got some eggplants here that are getting ravished by bugs, this one especially. But we have eggplants you'll see in a minute that are not being torn up by bugs. So these are kind of being sacrificed. I'm just going to leave them exactly how they are. Let the bugs destroy them, stay off the other ones. A couple of peppers, and I tell you, I forgot what was that, a cubanella? But they're just random. I had a spot, I had a plant, so I stuck them in there. Down our jungle of tomatoes and peppers and eggplants. Now these are the peppers that are kind of getting shaded out by everything as we go. The white tomatoes are basically done. I got to pull those out. Maybe put some of those broccoli, cauliflower, Swiss chard, whatever those fall crops. Volunteer tomato plant, which probably has 15 tomatoes I have to harvest that we'll sell at the farmer's market. Some eggplant growing like crazy. We picked a couple of eggplants, the black beauties. The white eggplants, there's a million on the plant, but they're not turning white. These are yellow beefsteaks, and they're all over the place to pick. It's gonna take me a while to harvest today. And I'll show you an example of these white eggplant. Guys, look at these tomatoes just ready to be picked and ready to be sold. It's white eggplant. There are tons and tons and tons of eggplant everywhere here. So many it fell down. There's eggplants on the ground. Got a nice bumblebee doing his job. So here, look, so it's a white eggplant, and there's one down here that's actually yellow. Maybe it was white and I missed it at some point. I'll tell you what's not easy to do, and that's pick eggplant without a knife. So, really hoping we can get those white eggplant going. They were so good last year to eat. Not the hugest seller, but they were just delicious. Our purple beauties, like we got eggplant here. There's a big eggplant down here. So they're doing well. Jalapenos, as always. The old reliable, chock full of peppers. This is the row I just picked. There's probably some more I could pick that I thought could use a day or two on the vine. So I left them on there. Right up to the trellis, I picked those. Have a big basket of tomatoes. These are our Carolina Golds and our pineapples. And you want to talk about weeds. But they're still producing a little bit. And even putting off some new fruit. You know, so tomatoes for the future. I haven't picked this yet. Our black crims didn't have a lot last week at the market, which means we should have some this week at the market. But here's the problem with, actually, that tomato's, like, it looks weird, but that's a good tomato. But here's some sun damage. It goes to the pigs. They're happy. Turn those tomatoes into pork. And tomatoes all along this weedy mess that are also ready to harvest. The trellis system, it's over. Any kind of stick trellis, it's completely over for me. I'm going all fencing and posts and not skimping on the posts like I did this year. So I have a bunch of baskets of tomatoes here that are worth harvesting, that should probably be harvested today. Leave that one. And here's where we had like the cherry and grape tomatoes and all that stuff. The first couple were the pink red tomatoes. And I've left them. They've produced a bunch. Looks like they're on their way out. These were those spoon yellow currant tomatoes that I ripped out of the ground. Still remnants. But these tumblers, I mean, I'll pick a bunch today. I will pick a bunch today, and then there'll be a bunch tomorrow to pick as well. They're heavy producers. Down to what is, I guess I got kind of mixed up on my labeling, because these are definitely those yellow beefsteak. So here's the first, well, here's the row of Lady Bell peppers. And I think I have too many peppers on the plant because they're not getting real big. That's a little bell pepper. I mean, plenty edible, but just not getting real big. So this tomato, I mean, this cucumber trellis is the first one I put up. And I see a monster cucumber here, which I missed before. You always miss a cucumber, man. So, just an ugly big cucumber. Pigs will enjoy. And there's some misshapen here. It's just, it's time to go. It's time for this trellis to go and get something in there that I can sell. You can look and see like the struggle with little cucumbers that are just yellow. I see a decent cucumber down there. So I may selectively pull some plants, maybe the first half, and get some cauliflower or something going in there. So I've never grown those brassicas before. And it looks like they're only 50 to 60 days to harvest. So I always just imagine it'd be a lot longer. The squash and weeds. I haven't really harvested much from this, but it's my own fault. Just completely neglected it. There's a cantaloupe right there. A couple cantaloupe plants I threw in there. So, I mean, there's flowers, and gosh, there were 6 or 7 bees in that flower. But this is an unused resource of space that I just didn't get to this year. So it might be flowers next year. It might be something else, something that we can sell at the market that's going to use a better resource of this space other than just a pile of weeds and a pile of volunteer tomatoes. These volunteer heirlooms down here, I've picked some, we sold some. This one's obviously trashed. Little treat for the piggies. They're sitting over here knowing that I'm picking. But they think that I'm picking. And that usually means a treat for them. Here's one of our more recently planted cucumbers. And we're doing decently with those. We got cucumber on the vine. As I dig, I'm sure I'd find more. And some more weeds, some beans, volunteer Roma tomatoes. And here's the well-intended marigolds that shaded out my entire cucumber patch. We're going to use them for my wife's bouquets. I'm looking at them. They look good from afar, but they are far from good. Got some bug damage on them. They're supposed to repel the bugs. Oh my goodness. I just looked down. Actually, it's not a bad cucumber. That is not too big. That's a good cucumber. But having all this stuff near the cucumbers makes it really difficult to harvest them. I mean, you just can't see it. And even under the best circumstances, you miss cucumbers all the time. The sea of tomatillos. Now, these tomatillos planted way too close, but they're really not too difficult to harvest. I just jump in there. And yeah, I step on a bunch. Volunteer tomato. Volunteer Roma tomatoes. I step on a bunch, but it's more than enough. More than enough to sell at the farmer's market. Like I said, not a huge seller. So this is what happens when you take 3 days after the market and you don't harvest okra. Again, okra is not the plant to be harvesting without some clippers, but this is basically a piece of wood. I mean, that's worthless. And the bad thing about okra is pigs don't like it. So I gotta come out here and at the very least cut this big okra off, and there'll be more okra tomorrow. We sell okra. I mean, people buy it, usually sell out of it. We don't have much of it when we take it to market, but worth growing. You know, add some stuff to the stand, makes it look nice and full. So it was definitely a win, and I enjoy growing it. So that's our update for today. There'll be another one next week. I'm going to try to do a harvest video, but when I'm harvesting, it takes a lot of time, and videos just add more time to it. So could be in the future, maybe, maybe not, but I'll see you guys next time.